Hello, everybody, and welcome to. Thank you for attending the Sunstone 2020 Digital Symposium. This is session 241 titled Bengt Washburn Comedy Show. The audio from this session will be available for purchase at sunstone.org after the symposium. The video recording of this session will be available in the Whova app for the remainder of 2020 for all of those of you who are attending. Following Bent's presentation, he will take questions. And so during his act, if you have questions, you can type those in via the Whova app, and then I will ask those questions of him and he will answer them on screen. At Sunstone, we are making it a goal to build a community that allows many ways for people to express their faith. Our tagline is, "There is more than one way to Mormon." We invite you to help us build a community where all paths are given space to be better understood. Please support us in our mission by making a donation and subscribing at sunstone.org. Now, let me take a second to introduce you to our presenter today. Bengt Washburn is a former winner of the prestigious San Francisco International Comedy Competition. He has been seen on The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, live at Gotham on Comedy Central, and most recently, Conan on TBS. He has 2 dry bar comedy specials and was invited to perform at the Vancouver International Comedy Festival, Boston Comedy Festival, the Aspen Laugh Festival, and Gilda's Laugh Fest in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please welcome Bengt Washburn.
I'm on there. Am I on? I think I'm on. Hello. I think it's working. I hope it's working. I hope everybody's doing well. I've watched a couple of the presenters, and I gotta say, most of you don't look like you're taking this quarantine very seriously. You've got haircuts, you shaved. You should look like me, like unkept, like severe. If you don't look pale and hairy and dazed and a little confused, then you're probably not doing this pandemic right. If there is a right way to do it. I think there's more than one way to do the pandemic, as a lot of us we're finding out. So anyway, hello. Hi, everybody. And I'm gonna try to be funny, but the problem is I can't hear any of you. So what I brought with me is I brought a little laugh machine, so that if I say something funny, I'm just gonna have to use that. I should have used it earlier when I did the observation about quarantining right, how you should look like you just came out of a bunker or a spider hole. You should look like a little like, remember when Saddam Hussein came out of, you should look like that. Probably gave myself a little too much for that. That wasn't very good. To get prepared for the Sunstone Symposium comedy set, there's a few new things I wanted to try to talk about that I thought would be topical. That would, if I understand right, the theme is grief and what is it? Gratitude, grief and gratitude. But I didn't want to talk about those at all. I looked up grief and what is it, like 7 or 5? They argue. We can't even get it straight on that. There's 7 steps of grief, I guess. I started reading them and they sounded like everything else. They just sounded like the symptoms of COVID. That probably, it's a very easy audience. Okay, I hope this is less painful for you guys than for me, but. So anyway, I read up on that. I decided, I haven't been in church for a while, so I decided I would peruse some articles. I read one by, I believe he's the prophet, and he said, now we're in the face of these what seem like end times, and he said, of course, when you're Mormon, the way you prepare, he said, you can prepare for Jesus, his return. He said, going to the temple will help you prepare for his spiritually. He said, go and let me read it to you. And there's a point I wanted to make about it. Is spending time in the temple will help you prepare spiritually for his return. My question is, will it prepare me spiritually for when he doesn't show up? Because that I think we really probably should be ready for that. It's a possibility. It could happen. You might live your whole life and nada. And you got to be ready for that, because I met a few people, they started getting in their 80s, their 85s, and they're really like, man, this isn't going to pan out for me. I've got a seriously large basement full of food, and there's no way I'm going to get through all that. All right. Anyway, the pandemic is what it's made me think about, is the end times. And it made me think about my end time fantasy. I don't know if you guys had did any of you have kind of like these? I grew up in a house where my mom was really into, my dad was a psychiatrist, but my mom was, I would say she was an armchair eschatologist. That's what I would say. She was way into the end times. And when we had family home in the evening, we would always end up talking about the end times. And I remember my fantasy was, I had a very weird end times fantasy. It was when I was like 9, 10 years old. What happened was Mapleton, Utah, where I grew up, was just rubble everywhere. I don't know where the rubble came from, because it was just all little tiny ranch houses, but Mapleton was full of rubble in my dream. And the new girl in town, who was very cute, I had a crush on her. And in my end times fantasy, her entire family was killed in this catastrophe. And so she had to come live with us. And then me and her, we had to be married at 9. And then we had to walk back to Missouri, all the way to Jackson County, Missouri, me and Tammy. I slipped her name. And we held hands all the way out there. We'd loot. And of course, we would have what I thought at the time was, sex. I know now it wasn't even at all that. But that was my end times fantasy. And now I got to think, with this pandemic hitting, it's got to be kind of a disappointment for some of the people who are really into this. Or maybe they're excited about how this whole pandemic is going. Maybe it's living up to their what they thought would happen. I got to think they're getting kind of wishing it was more calamitous. There would be some fire from the sky, some sort of. This is kind of a slow burn pestilence, or it's not a pestilence, is it? What, I don't even know, but it's not. It doesn't seem like it's going by the book. I don't remember. I'm not very familiar with a lot of the prophecies. I just know that what's happening now with this pandemic doesn't fit in many ways for me. All right, I should do some stand-up comedy material. This is, you guys are really silent right now. I mean, I can tell. I mean, I know I couldn't hear you anyway, but I mean, I know that there's no way this is funny at this point. So I'm supposed to do something funny, so I better get on with that. I had some other notes that I wanted to present to you that I thought were funny. Let's see. Now, I should tell you what I'm doing. This behind me, this backdrop is, we just moved. My wife got a job again over in Germany. So I put my career on hold because because I don't it people just aren't doing comedy shows live or virtually. And so I moved to Germany, followed my wife to Germany because she is my wife. She's the love of my life, She is the mother of my children, and she is the source of my health insurance. So I'm over here in Germany. It's an American problem. Follow the benefits, isn't it? We all like to follow the benefits. Usually to a place we hate. That's what I've noticed. Usually to a place we hate. You notice that? In America, the more someone hates their job, the more they'll bring up the benefits. That's how it goes. It's like, man, how's your job? It's horrible. I hate it. It's killing me. It makes me depressed. I'm so miserable. But the benefits are good. Yeah. If I get sick, then I'll be happy. If I could get some long-term illness, that would be spectacular. This is really weird. I have no idea. I don't know if I can hear you guys. I think this just participants. Oh, there's 88. Oh, geez. That makes me feel bad. I just see there's gallery view. All right. See what I mean? This is the hair of a person taking the pandemic seriously. It is really wreaking havoc with my psyche and my everything. All right. Hey, has anybody gotten a COVID test yet? Raise your hand if you got a COVID test. You know what? Let's try this little thing. Everybody look under your chair. That'd be amazing if I could pull that off. If you could reach under there and, well, you could find something. Anyway, the COVID test, I've had it twice now. And they say it's not always that accurate. In fact, the really quick tests, I don't know if you guys remember when President Trump unveiled a COVID test. When he was bragging about the new fast, awesome test that we had, and he set it up upside down on the table. That test, as it turned out, they said it would do 80% accurate, but it turns out it was about 50% accurate. That's it, which made me think I should open up my own COVID testing booth. Just to drive by, 50% accurate. I can do that. I'll flip a coin, and then heads you're positive, tails you're negative, and then we'll do 2 out of 3 to just make it a little more accurate. And anyway, that's my business idea. I've got to do something because this comedy is it's not working. The pandemic has been, I've had way too much time to look at social media. It's been depressing. I want to know this, if on unintentional irony scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate the use of the word sheeple? Okay, that's not going to work at all. I need I need practice at this is what I need. Where was I? Oh, here's the other thing. The masks now, I have discovered a couple little side effects. One, I put them on and I immediately realize I have not brushed my teeth well enough. That's one thing. I've been much more aware of brushing and flossing. Also, I think the mask has really made the eye roll the star of the face. Eye rolls and I've been using eye rolls a lot. Actually, this is a true story. We'll just tell a true story, and then I better do some actual material, because I'm so glad this is recorded and you can watch this all year. Whenever you feel bad about your job, you just watch me trying to do this. Anyway, that's not where, what was I going to say? What was I going to say? The Irish, shoot. See, I lost my place. I'm way out of the, I'm obviously not going to remember that. So, what I was going to tell you that when I took the COVID test, it was this first and second. My daughter took 2 COVID tests in Utah recently. We were on our way to Germany here. We were going to come over, and then she got a fever, 102, when we were in Montana, and we ended up quarantining in, is that a word? Quarantining, I think, in Payson, in a little duplex in Payson, and nobody wore masks, which meant I got really good deals on really nice handmade masks at the little grocery store there in Payson. I also got kind of mad. I kind of had a little meltdown. I know people felt I was virtue signaling, but I wasn't. I was yelling. Actually, it wasn't virtuous at all. It was immature. Actually, let me tell you what happened though. The cashier had a mask, and the young lady bagging the groceries had a mask, and then a guy without a mask leaned around the plexiglass screen and said, be safe. So you kids be safe. That's what he did without a mask. You understand what I'm saying? He loaded up a little plume of COVID words that said be safe that may or may not have COVID in them, is my point. And that's when I melted down in Payson. Of course, it was easier to do because I was wearing a mask. Nobody knew who I was. I had my hat on, and then really no one. It's a lot easier to do that when you have the anonymity of a mask. So yeah, she had to test for do the COVID test twice, and she tested negative. We got over here to Germany, and it was hard. The hardest thing about coming to Germany at this point is that they don't want any of us here. They don't want Americans here right now because they're afraid we might bring a bunch of virus with us. And I guess that's possible. The hardest part was actually they didn't want us to bring the dog. It was very hard to bring the dog. No one wants to fly with the dog. We did manage to get him here though, and he went berserk the first day the German garbage man showed up. They do have the German garbage men here. What happens in Germany is they give you 4 garbage cans and then very complex instructions on how to sort and clean your garbage. And then the can for your regular garbage is about half the size of the garbage can you have in America. And you think, oh, so I can do this for a week. And they say, oh, no. It's 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So what I'm saying is our dog, Cooper, the hound dog, was very happy here. I think he liked Germany until his arch nemesis, the garbage truck with his 2 henchmen, showed up. And he went berserk. He lost it. And he used to bark and growl and go nuts at the garbage man in America. And I realized that's, for him, they followed us to Germany. That's what it has to be in his mind. It's like, why would you follow it? How did you find us? That's what he's got to be thinking. Anyway, this is not like stand-up at all. I have no idea what people, there's 80. Oh, I know. I can tell how we're down to 87. I walked one. So go into Facebook with pandemic and argue about stuff. I don't know if any of you do that. I've done it a bit. It's baffling. It's baffling to me. There must be an evolutionary advantage to having a really stupid opinion, because people seem to be doing really well with them. I mean, they'll say something really stupid, and then I can go right there and investigate their life. They got photos and everything. And 9 times out of 10, they got like a boat, nice house, beautiful kids and families. And I'm like, man, uh, how are you getting away with that? I thought I thought it would hurt to be as dumb as you just were. Now I can be dumb too. I know I can be dumb. Uh, very very much so. But man, uh, it's I think part of the problem is that it's really easy to form a stupid opinion. I think that's what happens. For one, you have to have opinions about most stuff in the world because you can't know it. And so all you have to do to believe something is hear it a few times from peers that you deem to be sane, decent, good people, and you will start believing it. I think I should have started into this stuff earlier and practiced it before I started it. I don't know, the COVID stuff has made me think about death a lot more, your mortality. I don't know. A lot of people say we have an overpopulation problem, but none of us feel like we should do anything about it. I think, at least most of the people I hang with don't think we should try to change that. But I am quite blunt about death. In fact, I would say that's one of the bad things for me with this COVID, with the pandemic, is that I had to drop about 30 minutes of material that was about death. I'm very blunt about it. So is my wife. She's very blunt. In fact, this is called true story. My wife, we'd only been together a little bit. She called home from Korea, and right out of the gate, this is what she asked me. She said, so do you want to be cremated after you die? And I said, yes, please, after. I'm a strict post-mortem cremationist. It's one of those things that I'll pay for it, and I don't want to be there to feel it. And she's the same way. Is what I am. We're just practical. That's how I feel you should approach this stuff sometimes, just practically, and it's just cheaper. I'm cheap, that's why I go with the cremation route. It's much cheaper. Regular funeral is very expensive. You have to spend thousands for a coffin, thousands for this brand new coffin. Good luck finding a used one, and then it's totaled. So we're very we're very practical about that. Now the thing is, she's Catholic, and I don't know what their doctrine is, but I know growing up Mormon, I don't think you can take that shortcut. Someone could clarify for me how this works. This could be a question you could ask me. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're not supposed to get cremated, because then when the resurrection comes, it takes a lot longer to resurrect your body, because you don't have bigger chunks. You have to put it all together, which just seems crazy to me. I don't know how it works, the resurrection, but I think God can resurrect cremated bodies. It's just that everybody does that, then it just slows everything down. So they give preferential. You go to the front of the line if you didn't get cremated. Is that? I never could understand how that would work. Why? I'd imagine they'd send out, God wouldn't do it himself, herself. Sorry, didn't want to put a gender there. It's an old habit. I assume. Oh, that's Cooper. Yeah, I should probably stop talking about this. But there'd be a team there, and then they would say, "Oh, this one's cream. Well, we'll have to come back later and do this one last." That was not a good ending for this I'm going to call this train wreck. I'm going to officially call this train wreck. But I think how long have I been up here? I've only done, oh no, I think this is it. That was finished. I have no dismount. That's it.
That's your end?
Yeah, that's it. This is stand up without an audience. I mean, into a void.
While sitting with no audience.
It's so strange.
I'm gonna applaud on behalf of everybody. We're now down to 79. Oh, back to 80. So we've only lost a couple of people. It's not that bad.
I lost 9, at least 10.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Some of that was bathroom breaks, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, I do give people lots of places where they can leave, just come back, and especially when I haven't done stand up for, I don't know, 6 months. It's just killing me.
Side note, I'm an event producer, so you and I are in the same business. As soon as the virus hit, all of our work went away, right?
Oh, gone. Yeah, every bit of it.
You're in Germany, and I'm moderating Sunstone sessions as a volunteer. That's what we get to do. Okay, Bent, we do have actually quite a few questions that came through during the thing. So I'm just going to ask them to you. This one is from Michael. Michael, first of all, he says, you're crushing it, by the way. He suggests maybe instead of a laugh track, a crickets track that you could play.
That is, I thought the crickets were there already. I don't understand why I would have to add to those.
His question, he does ask a question, which is, how weird is it to do comedy with zero feedback from a live audience?
My answer, how weird was it to watch me do comedy with zero feedback from a live audience?
I personally, I thought it was fun.
I
thought it was fun. P.S. My favorite line of the whole thing, I actually wrote it down because it was just money in the bank, was, I'm a strict post-mortem cremationist. Solid.
It's one of the few jokes I could remember that I was.
Okay, let's see. Let me keep looking. Okay, let's see. Perry asks, can a comedian seriously apply for unemployment because comedians are perpetually unemployed?
I think there's a way. All you have to do is lie. You just lie. When I didn't do it. But in Virginia, the first thing they asked me is, do you work outside Virginia? And mostly, yeah. I mean, I'm working ships and military tours. I rarely work in Virginia. So it's been I'm completely out. We're done.
Virginia is not known as sort of a hotbed of comedy.
It is not. It's known as being right next to the hotbed of the train wreck that one day it'll be funny. They tell me.
So Stephen asks, he says, you're in Germany. Do they do comedy? And can you tell us some Deutsch humor, he says.
Deutsch humor. They do comedy. It's a different kind of sense of humor. And they have a very strong, they just started doing stand-up, I would say, when I was here about 10 years ago. They opened these clubs called Quatsch comedy clubs, and stand-up's a new art form for them. And but they cabaret, lots of cabaret, these crazy talented cabaret and funny stuff. They have a movie called, I think it was called Das Schuh das Manitou. It was like their Blazing Saddles. It's so funny. So they're very funny. But can I tell you any jokes? No. Okay. I only remember one. It was making fun of the Northerners. I forgot their names. They make fun of the people in the north of Germany. And how did he die? How did he fall off why did he fall off the telephone tower, the power? He was trying to feed the helicopters. Kind of.
I see. Yeah, every culture has that group we make fun of, right?
Yep.
This isn't a question, but just a comment from Ariane. She says, I never laugh unless it's really funny, and I laughed out loud throughout your entire set. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think she was laughing at. I think it was an at, but I'll take it. You know what I mean? Dying.
Jake asks, what would you do with $100 billion of reinvested tithing donations?
What would I do with, how many did he give me? How much?
Well, 100 billion. Do you know where this is coming from? It was recently discovered that the church has 100 billion,
Yeah.
trust fund or investment fund that
Yeah.
now we know that the church has at least $100 billion
Yeah.
squirreled away of sort of excess tithing, right?
Yeah. Well, I would play the market now. It just tanked yesterday. All in, baby. I remember that. I did hear about that. Yes.
By the way, lots of comments about Michael says, not a train wreck. You crushed it. A lot of people love your post-mortem cremation joke like I did. Somebody asked if we are your best audience you've ever had. That's from Sarah.
I did not know you were an audience. I gotta admit, you were reverent. You were the most reverent audience I've ever had.
We were all arms folded, quietly walking to the. Okay, hold on. There's a couple more questions. Let's see. Here's just a couple of serious questions. So now we got some serious questions. One is this is from Carlene, and she just says, just curious, where in Germany are you, and what does your wife do for work?
Oh, I'm in Stuttgart, Germany, and my wife works in the public affairs office for AFRICOM. And before this, she was an officer in the Air Force doing public affairs and foreign office. She was a foreign area officer before this. So, gotcha. Yeah, we're in Stuttgart, Germany.
Stuttgart. And it's great. Do you speak German? Are you going to take any German classes when you're there? That's another question that we got from Michael.
Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. When I was here before, I took intensive German for 6 months. It cost $2,000. Totally worth it because I now speak the language like a 3-year-old. Well, with a severe speech impediment. So
you can ask for your binky and that you need your diaper changed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 3-year-old. You got. I don't ask for that. I scream.
Yeah. Let's make this maybe let's see, I'm looking to see if there's any more questions here. Let's make this our final question, because most of we did have a few questions, but a lot of people were just telling you how funny it was or
that's
favorite
nice.
Jokes. You can go, if you want, look at the app and see what some of the people said. Somebody suggested that we raise our hands in lieu of laughter. Okay, so just real quick, you mentioned that your wife's Catholic, right?
Yeah.
So just give us the short version of your Mormon story.
My Mormon story was I grew up Mormon in Mapleton, Utah, and I went on a mission, and I used to have a very strong.
Where'd you go?
I went to Seattle, Washington, Spanish speaking.
Okay.
And it was hard. It was hard because I wasn't sure. I think it's hard for a lot of people that way. And then as I got older, I got a divorce, and I started doing stand-up comedy because I had a master's degree in art. Is really why I did this. And I don't know. I just bumped into
in art. What's your medium?
Painting, just painting. But I would say my story is that I battled with doubt for years.
Yeah.
For years, I doubted, and I felt bad that I didn't believe, and then I gave up that battle. I said, I'm tired of trying to not doubt, and I guess that's what happened.
Yeah.
I guess that's where I am. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, that's the end of our questions. Well, let me just double check and make sure there's no more.
I was going to say there's a little NPR story up in Seattle where I explain a little bit more about the kind of story.
Oh, okay. And an NPR interview. That's what you're saying.
In Seattle. Yep.
Okay. We have a few more minutes and we do have a couple more questions.
Okay.
Did you attend BYU, did you say?
I attended BYU for one semester, And then I showed up to get my student ID with my hair about this long, and a very angry man with a white short sleeve tie and no hair past here grabbed me by the arm and said, if you think you're going to get your picture taken with hair like that, you're sorely mistaken. And I left. I never went back. I just felt like I would be angry if I stayed there. So I went to Utah State.
Utah State. That's where you got.
And then Indiana University for grad. Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Somebody asked if they let you draw nude models because you went to BYU, but I think they assumed you went to BYU. But you only went for one semester.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do nude models at BYU. In fact, I took a drawing class my last semester at BYU, and the nude models wear nude colored leotards.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of kinky, I gotta say.
So it's a flesh colored leotard. So they walk in with their robe, they're wearing a robe, and everybody's like, oh, hey, what's going to happen now? And then they take the robe off, and it's just a flesh-colored leotard, and they sit down, and you're like, oh, all right.
I wish I would have at BYU. I took them at Utah State, and I drew the nude a lot. I mean, that's probably why I got the art degree. I liked seeing, it was a great way to see nudity back then. It was hard to get a hold of nudity when I was a kid.
That's right. Back in the day, you had to work really hard for it.
Oh, you had to find like a knot hole in a shower stall somewhere. It didn't just drop out of the sky, literally.
So I have a funny story about that. When I was 12, I was in a community production of The Music Man. And it was just at the community theater, but there were lots of other things going on there. And we were in rehearsals one day. You know The Music Man, right? There's a bunch of little kids who are in a band. So in downstairs in one of the rooms where they taught art in the community center, they were doing a nude art session with a nude model. And so one of the kids discovered this and came up and was like, guys, they're downstairs and there's a naked woman. And so all the kids went down there, and we had to stack up a couple chairs because they had the windows all covered, but they had windows at the top, like skinny windows at the top. So we all climbed up and peeked over so we could see the nude model. That's how hard you had to work to see a naked lady back in the day. Now you can just ping, and you're on. Okay. Let's do one more. So, this is funny. Boyd says, we are 84 years old and have food storage. What should we do with it?
That's what Boyd said.
That's a solid question, Boyd.
I think if the pandemic could just go a little further and get worse, you can probably sell this. I mean, just hold on to it. Boy, that's funny. 84 years old. What am I going to do with all this? Yeah, that's the point I brought up. Like, everyone tells you to prepare for the second coming, but nobody's talking about preparing for it not happening. And I think that's going to be a thing. People dead on the other side going.
None of us are ready for it to not happen. We're not ready.
Some people are a little too excited about it happening. They're a little bit like, oh, yes, this is it. I'm like, come on, quit. Like if fire came out of the sky, the first thing they'd be making gloating phone call after gloating phone call.
That's right. Celebrating the destruction of their fellow man.
It's
right?
sad.
All right. Well, here's the good news, Boyd. Ben, sorry. Boyd was our question person. Ben Washburn, everybody. We've only lost 3 more people during our little Q&A. So that's solid. So you did a good job. On behalf of everybody watching, thank you so much. Thanks for all of you who are participating in our Sunstone Symposium. I'm gonna end the session now. And Ben, I didn't tell you this, but as soon as I end the session, you and I are gone. We don't get to chat and shoot the bull and all that after.
This is like old times. This is great.
So good luck in Germany.
Thank you.
Our best to your family and to your dog. And hopefully we can see each other in person sometime.
Hope so. Best to everyone there.
Thanks.